Let's see. Oops.
See, I made it.
Yeah, okay. Uh, you're showing up. I don't know.
Give me a second. Let me turn on my camera.
I don't know if that'll change the order of operations here or not, or if I have to leave and then log back in so you're up top. I guess usually you're in the chat first. Hold on, I'll leave. There we go, perfect. Alright, let's hop to it. So, World Patch Doc. We're gonna go no longer than 45-ish minutes. So we're gonna try to cover a lot in 45 minutes. So, happy to have you here. I value your opinion on Homebrew because I think you have good instinct for rules and for design. So it's good to have you here. I'm going to go ahead and share the link to the document into chat. It's got commenting available for anybody that is interested. All right, so let me throw that into chat. There we go. Hey, what's up, Ursa Prime? Okay, so when you look over the changes that were made for this doc, you might think to yourself, what was he thinking? Why would he do this? Does he hate Dungeons and Dragons? Bigger question, does he hate people having fun? More important, does he just not want anyone to ever play Dungeons & Dragons with him again? The answer to those questions is yes. It is yes. But I actually had a helper helping me out with the stuff. So I hired an assistant. I'm very excited to announce that. Whenever I had a question, I was like, is this too mean? Is this too evil? Is this going to make it less fun? Should I not do this? I would ask my assistant, and then they would say, do it. And then every time I was like, I don't know, guys. I mean, taking away ability damage on ranged attacks, are you sure that's a good idea? And I'd ask my assistant, and he would look at me and he would say, do it. And I would be like, all right. So, yeah, that's what happened. I just, I ran it past the filter, and for some reason, the filter just kept telling me, do it. And I was like, fuck it, we'll do it. So this might feel like the meanest patch update that we've ever had. Just a complete desecration of Dungeons and Dragons. A destruction of everything that is fun. But I am prepared for the next 40-ish minutes to try and defend those decisions. And, yeah.
So before we get started, I do want to ask the serious question: what was the goal in making all these changes? You had to boil it down to a goal. What was the goal?
Okay, so the goal. That's a great question. The goal was, and I hate to hide behind this word, right? Because as a 40-plus-year-old white American male, right? Like this is not the best word to hide behind, but I feel that equity was a big part of my design decision here. I feel that 5e does not provide equitable fun. I really do feel that way. I feel like in Pathfinder 2e, the only major equity issue I've run into is the fighter design. I feel that the fighter having a a plus 2, so a 10% higher rate of success at attack rolls and therefore at critical hits. I felt like that's pretty inequitable. Like I feel like the design's pretty inequitable. However, as I've played the system, I've come to understand that the roles in that system are so well defined that everyone has something that they need to be very good at, because no one can be very good at everything in that system, right? Yep. So the spellcasters might feel like they suck, but they don't suck, because the spellcasters are the moving parts of the system. Like, they make the math move. They make the math happen. And out of combat, they can do some pretty phenomenal things that the other classes can't do out of combat. So you would need to have sort of a balanced campaign that has some combat elements and some out of combat elements. the longer I'm in the system, the more I understand that, and the more I get it a bit more, right? I get it a bit more. Like, okay, the fighter, this is their thing. But when the fighting's done, the fighter is reliant on everyone else to carry them through, right? They'll get killed by traps. They'll get bamboozled by succubi. They'll get arrested by the authorities. Like, they won't know what fork to use at dinner, and they'll insult the king. Like, there's a balance there. Within 5th edition D&D, anyone who's decent at tabletop can build a character who can do everything. They can build a character who can do everything. And for the most part, those characters are spellcasters. Spellcasting is so inequitably designed that you can see, and I point this out a lot, you can see the phenomenon in Critical Role, where in Series 1, there weren't a lot of spellcasters. But by the end of Series 1, they all realized, oh, the real shit is being a spellcaster. And then fucking everybody was a spellcaster going into Series 2. Series 2, most popular series of all 3 of the series, spellcasting everywhere, spellcasters. Good stuff. Is that bad? No. Is it bad for a whole group of people to make fighters if they're going to play Abomination Vaults in Pathfinder? I guess not. You know, you guzzle your potions, you get critical hits nonstop. Yeah.
I mean, one of those fighters could be trained in medicine.
Right. So, like, I'm not saying that it's wrong to have it be inequitable. I'm just saying that I'm tired of it being inequitable. This is a very weird year for Dungeons & Dragons. We started with a fucking scandal. Like, a bad one. A real bad one. We came out the other end of weeks of protesting with the core game being released to fucking everybody in, like... Yeah, in like, what the hell, right? And then they're like, that's okay, because the new thing we're making is even cooler. And everyone's like, I doubt that, but okay. You and I had some very good discussions about them turning D&D into a video game. Then the D&D movie came out, and it was phenomenal. I'm not just saying that because I'm a D&D fan. I'm a fan of movies, and I think it was a great movie. Unfortunately, it underperformed based on what they wanted, and that might be the only D&D movie we ever get. Maybe we'll get an Amazon series. I don't know. But I don't think they're going to make another D&D movie based on how they're feeling about the stats. That's a shame, because they made a great movie. They made a great fucking movie. So then we go, okay, well, everyone's trying out Pathfinder now because we're mad about Dungeons & Dragons. And I, as part of coping with how mad I was at WotC, not only did I cancel my subscription to D&D Beyond, it's still canceled. I went all in. I bought the books for Pathfinder. I learned Pathfinder. I did a whole series of reading all the rules together and learning Pathfinder. I joined a fucking game. Instead of joining your Cyberpunk game, I joined a Abominations Vault game to learn the game firsthand. Yep. I am running 2 Pathfinder games right now. I'm all in to give this system a fucking chance. And there are some real design gems in there that I think have value, and I wanted to bring back to 5th edition D&D because I've been doing 5th edition D&D since before it came out, when it was still D&D Next, when it was still playtest. I love it, and it might not sound like it most of the time because I complain about it all the time, but I really do love it or I wouldn't keep doing it, you know? And I feel myself being drawn back into it even as I'm playing and enjoying Pathfinder. I'm like, this is fun, but I think that my heart is still there, you know? It still wants to play some Dungeons & Dragons. Now, you've pointed out that the way I talk about design and the rules that I like to adjust, I would much prefer a skill-based system, and I am building my own skill-based tabletop system, but it's not ready to go. It's not even ready for playtesting. And in the meantime, people have asked, how do you feel about Pathfinder rules? How do you feel about Baldur's Gate 3? Another huge thing that happened for D&D this year. We had a movie, a hit video game, a scandal or two. We've got a playtest that nobody really likes, but nobody knows what to do with, a company that wants to try and monetize every aspect of the game but can't figure out the best way to get away with it. The second runner-up, Pathfinder, doing a complete like, oh yeah, here's a new version of the game we've been working on, and it's now seamlessly tied to the revisions for our space fantasy game, so you could mix and match this shit however you want, which kind of opens up a lot of possibilities. You a Final Fantasy fan? Because now you can have, like, mechs alongside your dragons. You could have dragon mechs. It's all just, like, mashed together now, baby. This is a crazy year for tabletop. And people asked, what do you think about Baldur's Gate 3? Like, how do you like being able to cast as many spells as you want? How do you like all these weapon actions? What do you think of bonus action shoves? We did a whole video on verticality. We did a whole vodcast on what rules do you really like about Baldur's Gate 3. So here it is. Here's my take, my updates to the house rules that I run, and how I feel like that's going to be. Now, some people have said to me, you have strayed too far from what Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition is for this shit to even matter. The one game I'm running is Mythic Odyssey, and that's sort of just a hero worship, like, story-driven, character-driven game where the rules are, in my opinion, secondary to the story and the character development. Would you say that's fair as a player in that game?
Yeah, I would say that.
Okay. And then my other 3 games are low to no magic Cursor Strahd games, 2 of which have custom systems in place for their crafting, for injuries, for exploration. It's a lot, right?
Yeah.
So
limits on class and magic.
Yeah, limits on class magic. So am I really qualified to update the world patch document at this time if I'm not really, quote-unquote, playing Dungeons & Dragons right now, right? I asked myself that while I was coming up with this stuff, while I was working on the document. And I said to myself, yeah, I think I still am. And I think I've run enough D&D, and I think I've played enough D&D that I still feel like these are insightful choices that are being made. So that's where we are right now. And, like, while I was influenced by maybe, like, the more evil and more sinister part of my psyche, maybe too much time in Barovia has made me, I don't know, seek those kind of darker, more difficult and evil challenges. I don't know. I just feel like maybe these are going to be fun. And what I'm learning from Pathfinder is you can have fun when it's not fun. I don't know how to explain that, but, like, I think of it like Legos, okay? If I gave you all the Legos in the world, right, that would be pretty cool. You could build anything, right? But many people would struggle, right, if they had all the Legos in the world. But if I gave you a limited amount of Legos, and I said, make the coolest thing you can with these Legos, I think that people would be able to engage immediately and start making something, because they would not be overwhelmed, right? They would be like, this is, I have to do this with what I have here. And I think that sometimes working within those restraints, working within those limitations brings out more, right? Like, I think it just brings out more than what you have before. I just feel like 5e, and especially I'm feeling this switching back and forth between 5e and Pathfinder 2, and then occasionally when I get to watch your Cyberpunk game, I just feel like 5e as a system is just a mess. Like, it's messy. And, like, there's so much freedom. Rule of cool permeates every aspect of it. The yes and culture that has kind of built up around 5e, the inability of DMs to just buckle down and say, no, you can't do that. You don't have a free hand to do that. You can't do that. Or you just don't have training in that. You can't do it. But we very rarely in 5th edition D&D say no to anything. You know what I'm saying? Whereas in Pathfinder, it's very clear, like, what you can and can't do. And like some people say that that's bad because like it limits you and limits your creativity. But in my opinion, if you still manage to come up with a solution while limited, that's more creative than being able to come up with a solution when you weren't limited at all. Does that
So
make sense?
I mean, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say that, like, is that an issue with, because what you're saying is that the culture of D&D
Mm-hmm.
is not putting those limits. So would you be able to solve that by just saying, I'm going to start enforcing those limits that are there,
Mm-hmm.
but not, and actually follow those rules and not ignore them?
And I thought about that, and then I remembered what it's like to use the rules as written, just raw rules, and they're just not strong enough. Yeah. If they were strong enough, they wouldn't be spending the last year and change trying to fix them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we're here, right? And you can kind of stop me on any of these, Dom, and be like, I don't think it's a good idea. Why would you do that? And then I'd love to discuss it. But
here
we go. All right, I have comment tool enabled. I have comments on this. Other people have comments on this. If anybody wants to add comments, they can. So let's just dive in. So right away, we got Larian chemistry. We tried this in last year's Extra Life with the Divinity one-shot, and I felt that it was very fun. It was a bit imbalanced. It was a bit chaotic. It was some extra work on the part of the DM, but I think it created opportunities for creativity and for excitement that otherwise would not have existed. One of my greatest weaknesses as a DM is remembering to use the environment in creative ways. Remembering to add things you can do in the environment. Now that Orf has sort of turned me to the dark side of like AI assistance, I'm starting to do that a little bit more. I'm starting to basically describe an encounter and say, hey, I've got this encounter coming up. It takes place here. Can you give me like 3 or 4 environmental things that can be interacted with and the mechanics that go with them? And then it will spit out some ideas, right? Mm-hmm. So this is baked in environmental effects. This is environmental effects that can exist, but they can also be created. And they could be abused, and they could be avoided, and they could be weaponized. And I think that the potential now to really, there's some potential here to really add some excitement to a lot of encounters and a lot of games. One of the things that I made sure to do was to level gate explosions, because I feel that explosions could be game breaking. And they are pretty game breaking, but by like level gating the increase of the damage to be in sync with the party, while video gamey, I feel that it's the right move. And they gain strength much slower than the party would be gaining health, which is fine because it shows that the party is outgrowing what used to be a very big problem and is now more likely an annoyance or a useful feature of the battlefield to abuse. So, okay. I don't know. What did you get a chance to read it over? What did you?
I did. So for the most part, the question here is that when at first I see this, and I know you did this in the one shot, so you probably have more experience with this, but it feels like it adds a lot more work on the DM to because the thing with like the chemistry stuff is that the encounter has the chemistry there, right? And in the game, I'm walking around with it's not like you're designing it. Like if it's just an environmental effect, you have those pieces inside the environment, and so the mechanics are within your encounter that you designed.
Right. You have full control over those mechanics.
So you can design the encounter around these environmental effects, and then now they're actually part of the encounter. Whereas if they're just a normal thing out in the world, and then now players have control over it too, which you kind of want them to, because that's part of the fun. But like at that point, then these can get really out of hand, and you have to be okay with that in your game.
And here's the thing. Here's the argument here. I hear this argument all the time when people are like, well, why would you be upset if your players came up with a clever solution and killed all the bad guys right away? ... You can always have more bad guys. You can always... Why are you upset that your encounter got trivialized? by their smart thinking. You should be proud of them. You always have more encounters, right? So, like, with that mindset, which is definitely the mindset of a DM that's not running 5 different games a week, with that in mind, like, okay, so this particular encounter, they fucking blew everything up.
Now they found out that works.
Yeah, now they found out that works. They're gonna try to blow.
They're gonna try and do that every single other time, and now I have to remake my encounters.
Right.
To make sure that so that they don't do that the rest of the game.
Fair. But there is an inherent danger to that, though, right? Like, they could blow themselves up just as easily. One kobold throwing an acid splash suddenly creates an acid pool, and now your chain reaction is killing the party and the kobolds. Like,
so yeah, and that point, that's why I'm saying I like it, and I like the idea about it, but I feel like there's got to be
Somebody pointed out in chat, no loot if you blow it up. Just like, no loot if you throw the person into the chasm. You know what I'm saying? Like,
sure,
right?
Sure. Except, but also in 5e, magic items aren't supposed to be destroyed by explosions. So
that's
okay,
fair.
That's fair. They're fine with everything blowing up, but as long as we're gonna get those magic items. Maybe back up. So the thing here is, I like them. I want them to be there. I think the idea that how often they trigger should be well defined. I think.
Right.
And so just throwing like a firebolt doesn't necessarily always make a fire surface.
Oh, you think that there should be like a percentage chance or something
that makes it so that
relative to your skill.
Either that or so that when it doesn't trigger, it's not a thing that you can guarantee happen. Like when the opportunity comes, we're like, oh crap, we have an opportunity to use this surface as an explosion. Let's try and do it now because that's going to help us in this moment. I don't want it to be like, okay, I know that I can always throw this firebolt and make this fire thing, so I can always do my strategy the same way with this, because that's the thing. Then it becomes a meta, and I don't want it to become a meta.
And by adding a percentage chance to fail, that makes it less of a strategy and more of an opportunity. This could happen. Beautiful.
I'd rather have opportunities than
this
strategies.
Is the kind of insight I've been waiting to hear all week. I'm so glad you could make it today. Oh my god. All right. So that's good. Excellent. All right. Let's see. As far as keeping track of this on a VTT like Foundry, we can just make templates, double-click the template, change the color, move on. Yeah. Like it's that simple. Honestly,
you have your four floor types, and then you make it a flipping token of and you make it or you can make it an actor.
Yeah.
On the side.
Now, if you want to get Roll20 methodology, you definitely want to just make actors for this, for sure.
Yeah.
And back on Foundry, there's a million mods that could make this very easy to do. The first one that comes to mind is Monk's Active Tiles or whatever. Luck would be really good. Anything Bailey Wiki has videos for could be amazing, because he has shit where like you pull out fire, it's animated, it knows to like trigger damage when you go into it. Yeah, JV2A for those animations. This could be built and managed relatively easily. IRL, you get your dry erase markers out, baby, and you draw all over that fucking map. Don't worry about it.
I would say if anybody wants to set this up, the easiest way to do it is have one actor that has all your,
all the stats,
saves, and stuff like that. Just on one actor, have it off in your margin, and then on the thing, you can either use, if you're okay with just using your marker, do your marker to draw the spaces.
Beautiful.
And use different colors for what it is, or set up a shifting token or put a tile.
All right. So before we move on to the next section, checking in with what'd you think of new lava? Less damage, but it's quicksand now. Fuck yeah, that's a good lava right there. I was very happy with that one. I was like, I don't know, assistant, should I make it quicksand? And he's like, make it quicksand. And I was like, all right, we'll make it quicksand. And so we did. So it's crazy. Let's check chat before we move on to the next one. Raptor21 Echo says, for sure the issue is defining the boundaries. You have to know what you can push against for things to work. One DM might say yes to crazy plan, the other might say no. PHB says X, and that informs Y. Pathfinder 2E's walls are set. 5E has crayon walls. That's a good way to put it. I think I told one of my groups, I said Pathfinder 2e is for real nerds. It's for math nerds. It's for engineers. It's for chemists and scientists and people that love numbers and facts. And I said 5e has been taken over by theater nerds. So, and there's nothing wrong with theater nerds. There's nothing wrong with theater nerds. But, like, there's a huge distinction, in my opinion, of the two games and the two cultures that surround the two games.
The way I would like to say it, I like to put it, is that Pathfinder is specific, 5e is vague.
Yeah. All right.
They have just as many rules, but Pathfinder likes to go into all the details.
Yeah.
Make sure you know exactly how everything works.
Yeah. Well, and I didn't want to go off on a tangent, but when you were talking about, like, oh, well, you as the DM control the environments, yeah, until you get to high-level D&D. Like, when you have to, like, figure out, like, okay, well, they did an earthquake in this lava field, and now I've got lava geysers. I don't have any rules for lava geysers, but obviously there's lava geysers now because they're fucking making lava geysers. Like, what are we supposed to do? Like, I mean, it's always been there. Like, it's always been there. And this way, we at least have a bit more definition.
Yeah.
Now, you could say, hey, this is similar to a poison surface. I'll just use the rules for poison surface.
Yeah, that's good.
This is making steam. We have rules for steam now. We know how steam works. Like, I feel like this is helping define any encounter, even encounters that we've had before. Then we've got the enemies have the same thing. If the party is known for being mad bombers, their enemies will eventually learn that. I think that your idea of making it unreliable kind of solves that problem. Yeah. All right, let's move on. New section. We have gotten rid of minor actions. I felt like minor actions, one, they weren't being utilized enough, and then when I was utilizing them and the players weren't, I kind of felt like I was cheating. Two, I didn't like the flexibility. I know this sounds crazy. I didn't like the flexibility of minor actions. I didn't like being able to convert to get more minor actions. I felt like that was very anti-5e. I felt like it was anti-5e. And this is because of the pedestal that Baldur's Gate 3 put the goddamn bonus action up on. Mike Merles must be flipping the fuck out playing Baldur's Gate 3 because man hated the bonus action from day one, and Baldur's Gate 3 they put that fucking it's up there on a like ivory pedestal with like sparkles around it. Bonus action is a big deal. We've had a lot of turns and a lot of combats where it was more stressful to figure out what to do with our bonus action than anything else because you only get one. Haste potion don't give you no extra bonus action. Yeah. So we got rid of minor actions, but we added some new bonus actions to give people more flexibility. It occurred to me in my level 1 sessions of Pathfinder 2e as a player and with my players, there is a macro that we have called Action Dashboard. And a big fucking dashboard pops up when you hit that button showing you everything you can do. And I was thinking, I was like, there is a lot that you could do in D&D that we've never clearly defined, right? But there's still not as much to do as there is in Pathfinder, clearly defined. So I was like, what if we added some more options? I hear a lot of people say, just skip to level 3, levels 1 and 2 are bullshit, you don't have anything you can do. I want people to have things to do all the time. So I liked the idea of making up some extra bonus actions. I'd really love to somehow make an action dashboard for 5e with our custom actions in it. I think it'd be pretty fucking cool, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't feel like doing any programming. I hate programming. So, dip straight out of Baldur's Gate 3. You coat one handheld weapon, or one piece of ammunition, with the properties of the surface you are in or adjacent to, and then it tells you which surfaces those are and what bonuses those have. They're not great bonuses. Like at higher levels, 1d4 extra damage. Who gives a shit? But if there's a chance that acid-coated arrow can make that fire explode, then you might want to do it, right? You might want to do it, especially if you don't have easy access to different elemental damages and stuff like that. It also is a buff to the Poisoner's Feat. You know, the feat no one ever takes. If you have the Poisoner's Feat, you can perform this bonus action as an item interact. Not bad. Extra item interact. you can get a second item interact on a turn, because maybe you pulled out an item, but you also want to open a door, or you open the door and now you want to close the door. You can use your bonus action to do that. Recall was already on there as a minor action. You recall knowledge. Step is not a 5-foot step. It just means you get 5 extra feet of movement, because as we are learning in Curse of Strahd, sometimes 5 extra feet of movement makes all the difference in the world. Yep. And if you have a lot of sexy bonus actions, it is a hard pill to swallow. But if you know that an extra 5 feet could change everything, maybe it is worth your bonus action. Struggle. I've yet to see struggle succeed, but it's there, because being grappled and restrained sucks. Maybe Jason pulled it off a couple times, right? Or at least once.
I think I've done it. I did it once on
Okay. Sweet. Okay, so it has happened. That's good to know. Yes. It has happened. Yeah. Excellent. Bolster. I like bolstering, but bolster's hard to track. So how I changed bolster to last until the end of combat or until it is used, and you can't be bolstered more than once. And you do have to announce that you're using bolster before you make the roll. It's kind of like the most generous Pathfinder guidance ever. It's a +1 to a roll, but you have to remember to use it. Yeah. And I mean, if your turn's over and you got a bonus action left, bolster your fucking friends. Teamwork. We're trying to build teamwork here.
Yep.
Yeah. Shove away, straight out of Baldur's Gate 3. I remember talking
about this, yeah.
Yeah, so when you shove, you could shove as a bonus action, but it can only push. It cannot knock prone. Prone, a very strong stats effect. Not as strong as it is in Pathfinder. Certainly not as strong as it is in Baldur's Gate 3. Still a fantastic stats effect. I don't think without special training, aka Shield Master or something similar, you should be able to trip people and knock them prone as a bonus action. But pushing someone away, sure. Pushing someone off a cliff, get that verticality cooking, not bad. Lower guard. So lower guard, it's been used once. I think the expectation by the players is that this is a guaranteed taunt, and I don't feel like everyone should have a guaranteed taunt baked in. Making yourself a more inviting target certainly would cause many enemies to target you, but like, if they have something they want to do, or they're an intelligent enemy, they might be like, okay, I'll get to you later. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like it's fine as is, but it's certainly a very specialized situation. Like, how often are you going to want to encourage people to attack you? But
I mean, do you want to make it a skill check?
Ooh,
and that way it does work, and you have to pick up a specific target.
Can this be a performance-based skill check?
Maybe. That way, maybe it is somewhat guaranteed, but it's only on one target.
Yeah, maybe
because you're making yourself seem weak to that one person.
Well, I like the idea that you grant advantage to all attacks, but your goal is to target one particular individual. So we could add something where, like, as part of this as part of this action, choose a creature, blah 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 blah, and maybe it's something like, if they don't attack you, their attack is at disadvantage because you're so annoying, you're so distracting, and you're so inviting to come attack. Marking has been improved and changed, in my opinion. The one in the Game Master's Guide is disgustingly powerful. Mark as a minor action was never really getting any play. Maybe it will this time. We will see. After successfully striking a foe with a melee weapon attack, you can use a bonus action to mark that creature. Until the end of your next turn, any opportunity attack you make against the marked target has advantage. Pretty good. And marked creatures provoke opportunity attacks whenever they use movement within the threatened melee range of enemies. So marking makes
really good for a rogue.
Yeah, it shuts down. Well, and it's really good for a rogue, and who needs the most bonus actions? Rogues, right? So it's another thing taxing that bonus action. But marked creatures provoking, that shuts down the 5e shuffle. I mean, you want to talk about real battlefield control. Standing up from prone, that uses movement. That would provoke if you're marked. So you mark a foe, and then you knock that foe down, or you mark a foe that's knocked down, and it's surrounded by melee, like, they're fucked. You know? Like, they stand up, they're going to get a lot of opportunity attacks. I think it's going to be huge.
A marked creature provokes all
Yeah.
other people's opportunity attacks, or
Yeah.
just the person who marked them?
Well, currently I have it marked creatures provoke opportunity attacks when they use movement within the threatened melee range of enemies. So we could change.
That's very dangerous.
Yeah, I feel like it might be too strong.
Yeah, maybe too
All right,
much.
mark.
Yeah.
So we'll say a creature marked by you.
Yeah.
Provokes opportunity attacks
from you whenever they move movement.
Provokes opportunity attacks from you whenever they use movement within your threatening melee range. All right, but this threatening melee range, it also implies that if you have a reach weapon and they get up with reach, you can still do it as long as they're within melee.
Yep. Yep.
And then it does mention that we do have other bonus actions that exist in the game that never really get used, Tumble and Overrun. I have seen people using those a bit more. I'd love to see that a bit more in gameplay. But yeah, there they are. So what do you think of that? The new bonus actions?
All of them I don't have any issues with. And it makes sense that they're now part of bonus actions instead of... Because now I can't trade my movement for this, which I think makes it's more 5e.
Mr. Focus asks, how does Mark interact with Disengage? I believe Disengage, per its writing, would overwrite Marking. Because it just says no one gets to make opportunity attacks against you. Yeah. I mean, Disengage is still very, very strong, but with how easy it is to get around the battlefield, you're wasting your whole turn disengaging often, unless you are a class that can disengage as a bonus action. So... I don't think it's too bad. I don't want everyone to just gain Sentinel by default, basically. So yeah.
So yeah, this is like
everyone can do this. Everyone can
do this.
Yeah.
And you can always disengage to avoid this.
Yeah. It's just more incentive to try and get out of Yeah.
And then the way Sentinel works, it actually mentions disengage inside there, in the wording of the feat. So that's where it comes back.
Yeah.
So if you want to mark and you have Sentinel, then you're covered.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so moving on to Help Action Revised. I felt like this was kind of controversial because Help Action's pretty fucking good. I think we all can agree that the foundations of 5th edition D&D is friendship and anime, loving each other, not knowing how to do anything but somehow being able to do it anyways. I don't particularly like that. I just don't like that anybody could be like, hey, I see you're trying to do something I'm in no way qualified to do. I'm going to stand next to you, and you're going to have advantage. As somebody, I just don't think that works. If you've ever tried to work on a car with someone that doesn't know how to work on a car, I don't think that's going to help you.
They're supposed to know how to. They're supposed to be
proficient.
Yeah,
exactly. Right? Well, no, Raw, they don't have to be proficient. Anybody can help with anything. Your fucking familiar could help you write your college thesis paper. Your dog could help you write your college thesis paper. There are no rules.
The biggest thing there is that one of the biggest issues with that, like, yeah, sure, anybody can help anybody. How much they help should not always be advantage.
Okay, so that's what this is about. That's what this is.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what this is about.
Yep.
Help action no longer provides any of the things it used to. The help action can only be used during combat. That's the first thing right there. That's a fucking nerf and a half right there.
Oof.
The help action can be taken to perform or cause one of the following things. Help an adjacent creature no more than 2 sizes larger than you stand up from prone. I had this as a minor action. I felt it was too strong as a minor action, so I'm bringing it back as a help action. If you can help as a bonus action, hell yeah. Help an adjacent creature stand up. That's pretty useful, honestly. Provide an adjacent creature a bonus equal to your proficiency bonus. I have double, triple, quadruple down on proficiency bonus scaling. I think it's the best and most equitable way, if you respect multiclassing, to do this. I don't think ability scores should do as much as they do. I really don't. I think ability scores have a place, but I don't think it's affecting how often something can be used, and I don't think it in any way reflects the growth of a character. Because if you roll in for stats, or if your DM gives you a heroic array, like, I don't think so. Familiars are about to protest. Always. So, anyways, Provide an adjacent creature a bonus equal to your proficiency bonus to their next saving throw or ability check, provided that it makes the d20 check before the start of your next turn. Now, this is interesting. Why not give advantage? I want to move away from giving advantage because I want getting advantage to feel fucking good. It's too easy to get advantage in 5e, and I want it to feel good. And when you see what I did to Inspiration, you're going to understand why it's going to feel so fucking good to finally get advantage again. Here's the thing. This bonus stacks with advantage. So if you can get advantage from the situation, a circumstantial bonus, a bonus you unlock through actual gameplay mechanics, through your abilities, through the environment, for whatever reason, this proficiency bonus goes on top of rolling 2 dice for the best number. In my opinion, it's better because it allows you to have advantage from something else and still be helped by somebody. So it could be very, very huge. Removing the burning status from an adjacent creature. There are, I think I looked it up. There's over 10 different ways to get set on fire in Dungeons & Dragons. None of them are official. Different things will set you on fire for different amounts of time and for different amounts of damage, and it gets fucking old. So now there is a burning status, and that's that. There's a burning status, and a friend can come put you out. The end.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's got to be simplified. What about other statuses like wet or acid? I thought about wet. Wet can't be removed quickly because you're soaking wet. Wet can be removed with any fire damage if you need to get rid of it right away. Otherwise, pack a towel and towel off after the fight. Try to towel your entire body off in the middle. Yeah, prestidigitation. There you go. That will also dry something. Acid can be removed by prestidigitation or the application of water. Water will then make you wet, though. So it isn't covered by the help action. Those things are beyond the help action's ability. Fire, you just pat them down, and they're not on fire anymore.
The way fire works, pretty much we're like standardizing all fire. Pretty much kind of works like Alchemist Fire.
Yeah, exactly.
Where you can just spend an action to help your friend.
Yeah, pat it down, scrape it off, whatever. All right, take 2 item interactions. These can be used to transfer items to and from an adjacent willing ally. How often do we have this shit where the DM is finally enforcing encumbrance, finally enforcing who's carrying what, and the people are like, just take it all off my body, baby, and I'm just wearing it. All my equipment's my fucking shirt. And they're like, okay, I take all of their things. And like that's not how item interact works. You get to interact with one fucking item. So this gives you 2 item interactions in addition to your bonus action that can be turned into an item interaction and your free item interaction every turn. You have 4 item interactions. If you can't rearrange you and your friend's equipment with 4 item interactions in a turn, it's probably too much to do in combat. But this at least gives you, if you really, really, really need to, this will give you those extra item interactions. Distract an enemy. If you do so, the next attack against that enemy receives a bonus to hit equal to your proficiency bonus. I felt like this is pretty good. Initially, I said that you would then be giving advantage to attacks against you from that enemy. Some people were like, I think that's a little too harsh. They're already giving up their action to help someone else do something. They should be rewarded for helping, and they shouldn't be punished for helping. So that's fine. That's fine. If it's your dog and it's super cute and it's barking at the monster to distract them, I'll just kill your fucking dog. That's fine. That's cool. It's not like I needed advantage to kill your dog. Revive a downed ally. You help Yeah, Revive a Downed Ally is straight out of Baldur's Gate 3. You help a dying adjacent ally back to their feet. They stabilize with 1 HP. Holy shit. However, they gain a stack of exhaustion because we're making 10 stacks of exhaustion, the standard exhaustion system. I am tired of 5e exhaustion. It's stupid. It doesn't make sense. It's unbalanced. It's garbage. I love the new exhaustion system. It's punishing, but you can survive it. It doesn't take you out of the game completely, but it makes you realize that you probably need to get some fucking rest. I think it does exactly what we need an exhaustion system to do. So, if a friend pops you up, they didn't need to use a potion. They didn't even need to do a fucking medicine check. They just did a you son of a bitch handshake, and they used the power of love and friendship and anime, and they pulled you back to your fucking feet. It says right here, you get back on your feet. You get to stand up. Wait, hold on. I spelled feet wrong. I don't want people to get confused. However, you get exhausted.
Yeah. 3 feet.
Yeah. However, you get exhausted, and a -1 to everything, including your armor class, fucking sucks. Like, ask my Curse of Strahd players. It fucking sucks. If this is your 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th point of exhaustion, you are essentially a liability. Like, you're not doing anything. But you know what? They didn't have to waste the potion to bring your ass back up this time. And you can only take an interact, bonus action, and move action on your turn. That's a fancy way of saying you don't get to take your action on your turn. I feel like that is kind of cool, and it's going to add a lot more teamwork and interaction. Someone's giving up their action to do this unless they can help as a bonus action. Suddenly Mastermind Rogue enters the chat as one of the best support classes in the fucking game.
Is that a change to Mastermind Rogue? Because their thing is specifically the damage one, not just being able to help.
Is it? I thought that they could help at range.
You could just help at range. You as a bonus action, you can pretty much do the distract.
Oh, how unfortunate. We might have to change that for Mastermind Rogue. I feel like Mastermind Rogue needs some help. He needs some love right there. All right, let's see. Mastermind Rogue needs some love. All right. Good. All right. So there's a dodge. There's a nerf to dodge. Now, Remy thinks that this is directed at Remy because, it's Remy. But this was directed at fucking Paragon bosses because I found myself lately having my Paragon bosses dodge. And I felt like that is something that they would do if they saw that they were facing off against powerful opponents. But I also felt like it's kind of cheap, right? Like, I'm basically saying I have displacement that can't be removed. Like, I just always have dodge on at the cost of 1 Paragon action. It kind of feels like it's worth it, to do a dodge as a boss that doesn't want to get hit, right? So I was like, I feel like I gotta have something here to slow these guys down. I didn't think about the examples that were then presented to me of how this does impact monks and rogues, who are people that can dodge. Alexa, stop the timer. That are people that could do that. So I was like, I feel like this is important change, and I kind of want to keep it, even though it does nerf the dodge action. My argument here is your speed is halved, and your attacks are at disadvantage, so time your dodges better. You know what I'm saying? Like, time your dodges better. If you're dodging to try and get away from combat without disengaging, because you want to decrease the chance of the enemy hitting you, and then have the benefit of dodging all the way into your next turn, well, in that way, you're being just like the Paragon bosses that I'm trying to nerf. So, I guess mission accomplished? Yeah, so that's my take on that one. Climbing nerf. You gotta have both hands free to climb. Or use your climb speed. The exception to this would be spider climbing. So I'll put that. Exception to this is spider climb. I think this might be raw, honestly. Maybe raw lets you climb with 1 hand, not 2. But I think you need both hands to climb. I'm tired of motherfuckers climbing on everything so easy. Just, this gets fucking old. Use your item interactions. Plan your turns better. Like, something I'm seeing as D&D players move over to Pathfinder, D&D players are lazy as fuck. Like, because everything is so loose and so vague that they get away with, like, just being like, I don't know. I guess I climb with, like, my sword and my shield, and then I attack hanging off the wall. I guess I stuck my dick in the wall, and I'm just hanging off by my dick. I don't know how I'm doing it. Like, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
The biggest thing I've noticed between Pathfinder and 5e in terms of combat like this, and dealing with something like this, is that Pathfinder turns are a lot faster than 5e turns.
Yeah. Because if I had a fucking shield and a sword, and I ran up and was like, I want to climb the wall, I'd be like, cool, you gotta drop your shield. And the player would be like, I'm not gonna drop my shield. And I was like, do something else. But like, we just keep saying yes to everything in D&D. And so like the turns go on forever as people narrate to you the latest episode of the anime starring themselves. And it just takes fucking forever, you know? In Pathfinder, people are like, I know I can only do a couple things this turn because of the situation I'm currently in. I need to work on getting out of the situation I'm currently in. In 5e, it feels like there's never really any situation that you can't just solve in one turn. You know? Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm oversimplifying, but yeah. Delayed initiative. This isn't for popcorn initiative or active initiative games, but I feel like delayed initiative should have been in the game the whole time. It was in earlier editions of D&D. I think it's an important part of D&D. Pathfinder has it. It works really well. I want to move it back into the system for when we run static games. I think it's very important. It's different than holding your action. Yeah. Exploration activities. We've been using these in Curse of Strahd. My Daybreak group has been using them. No, wait. Nightfall was the first group to use them.
Yeah.
And I think that they do provide a lot of interesting stuff. If you're playing in a campaign where random encounters are a thing and travel is a thing, these might not get used as much. If you're a bit more casual about your travel, these can always be good to just ask the players what are they doing in between fights. Like, how do they walk around the world? Like, what do they do? You've always got that player that's like, I'm always stealthing. Well, now we know what that means. You're always stealthing. You know, you got the person that's like, I'm always on guard. Okay, we know what that means. I'm always looking out for trouble. We know what that means. I like to scout ahead. Now you can, and it has a mechanical benefit for everybody else. So, yeah, I like these. I think this is really fun. I don't think that they break the game. I don't think that they really add that much to the game, but I think that they're interesting enough that they make for some fun, flavorful additions to the game. It's not as fun as Solasta. So-and-so found 6 grapes. So-and-so killed 1 squirrel. So-and-so fixed their shoelaces. Like, that's the real, that's the good stuff right there. But that's in the future, when we make our stupid travel events table. Alright, so then Succeed at Cost remains unchanged. I like how Succeed at Cost works. People actually think hard about whether or not to succeed at cost.
Unless you're SIBO.
Unless you're SIBO, the most famous Succeed at Cost person on the server. I changed backgrounds. I guess I should make a note about backgrounds. Yeah. Huge change. So this is how backgrounds work now. All backgrounds are custom backgrounds. There's no more tool, gaming, or instrument proficiencies. See lore skills in the skills section. You get one of the following bundles. 3 skills, 2 bonus languages, 1 lore skill. 2 skills, 3 bonus languages, 1 lore skill. 2 skills, 1 bonus language, 2 lore skills. 1 skill, 1 language, 4 lore skills. 1 skill, 5 bonus languages, 1 lore skill. That's it. Just pick one of those. Make up your shit. Now you don't have to be an urchin because you wanted to have fucking sleight of hand, Lars. Like, you don't have to be an urchin just to get sleight of hand. You can just pick any fucking background you want and say that those are the skills you have for your background. I don't give a shit. I think that this is the perfect solution to backgrounds. What about feats at level 1? What about special abilities of backgrounds? So, now, choose 1 starter feat from the list below. These are the starter feats. You might recognize them from Curse of Strahd. It does add Magic Initiate to the list. So, Magic Initiate is on that list also. I would also say we should add racial feats, I feel, would probably be a good one. I've unbanned racial feats, so I feel like racial feats that you qualify for might be a good one.
Are they still? You still have them be qualified for?
Yeah.
Okay.
So qualifying racial feat, that could work too.
But Prodigy is still not a...
Prodigy is not limited by race, and it's actually on the list here. So you got actor, athlete, chef, durable, fighting initiate, firearm specialist, grappler, healer, inspiring leader, keen mind, linguistic, magic initiate, mobile, observant, poisoner, prodigy, second chance, skill expert, skilled, skulker, squat, nimbleness, smalls only. I guess that would still be covered under here, but I'll put any smalls can take. because there's like rules now for every race to be small. Tavern Brawler and Tough. Now, admittedly, Squat and Nimbleness is pretty OP since everyone's got a speed of 30 now. But if you've ever fought baby zombies in Minecraft, you know that small things are faster than big things. Have you tried to catch your cat when it gets out of the house? They're way faster than you. Just saying.
What, you turn on the, if you lived in an apartment that might have had some unwanted visitors and you turn on the lights and they scatter?
Yeah, exactly. Small things are fast, y'all. Like, small things are fast. Okay. From Valda's, which I'm not really a fan of anymore, but it's got some gems inside of it. Early Riser, Fickle Fortune, Field Commander, Gambler, Iron Hero, which is strong as fuck. Precognitive and Showman, which is also very, very strong. Grim Hollow, Hulking Figure, Iron Gut, and Nimble Physique. Those are all very interesting level 1 feats.
No feat.
You could take no feat to get an ASI improvement. You may add +1 to any 2 stats of your choice and can't raise them over level 20. A qualifying racial feat, or if your DM approves it, you could be child, elderly, or survivor from Valda's.
That no feat ASI I think would be really good for those mad classes like monk and
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then you just make up a story. What is your background? Why do you have this particular set of skills and abilities? Obviously you had a character build in mind. Now make up a perfect background for it. You're not fucking pigeonholed into anything. Were you a former circus performer whose parents were murdered by criminals? You were adopted by a vigilante named Batman? I don't give a fucking shit. Make it work. Like, that's your business now.
That's the reason why you have the 1 skill, 5 languages, and 1 lore skill. So it makes sense.
Wandering Links asks, where is Firearm Specialist? I'm pretty sure it's in Tasha's. I want to say it's in Tasha's. I mean, it's on D&D Beyond, but, yeah. Alright, so let me go to feats. Any big changes to feats? Banned feats. So because racial feats are unbanned, I'm just banning Elven Accuracy. So, I hate elves. What can I say? Just fuck you guys. Lucky is still banned, and Sharpshooter is now banned because I hate ranged attackers. There we go. The remaining nerfed feats stay nerfed. So Great Weapon Master is level gated. Polearm Master is level gated. Great Weapon Master has a slight debuff in addition to being level gated. Polearm Master actually has a buff while being level gated. Sentinel has a nerf and a level gate, as per what we normally have. Spell Sniper, I guess we should probably ban Spell Sniper also, because it wouldn't be equitable to get rid of Sharpshooter, so we'll get rid of that. So Spell Sniper is banned. There we go. Goodbye, Sweet Prince.
Would you be willing to make Spell Sniper be the Baldur's Gate Spell Sniper?
Ooh, what's that one do?
So you learn 1 cantrip, and now your cantrips can crit on a 19.
Oh shit, that's pretty fucking cool, actually. Yeah. Okay. All right. That sounds good. Let's keep it. Okay.
Like if I'm a warlock and I'm getting I might be worth picking up.
Oh baby. All right. Let's see. Where you at? Oh, that's right. I cut it. Hold on. Paste it back in. All right. Spell Sniper prerequisite level 4. You learn 1 cantrip of your choice. Blah blah blah. All right. Here we go. Your cantrip spells gain the keen property. Hell yeah. That's good, man. That's good. Alright. New from BG3. I just don't want to trivialize cover. I get so tired of cover being, like, trivialized. Ugh.
I mean, if that's the case, maybe instead of Spell Sniper and Sharpshooter both, maybe Sharpshooter is something similar to that.
Oh, Tom, this is what I've been waiting for all week. Your huge, powerful brain. Oh my god. All right, hold on. Okay, so
you gain training in 1 range weapon of your choice if you weren't already trained in 1, and then your range attacks crit on a 19.
Yeah, especially since, as people might find out soon, we got rid of the damage boost of for ranged attacks. So this kind of gets some of that cooking again. Let's see. I don't mind the range penalties going down. I just hate getting rid of the cover. You know what I'm saying? Before you make an attack with a ranged weapon, blah blah blah. So we'll just say all your ranged weapons gain the keen property. Would this stack with the keen that I gave all crossbows?
Are they the same name?
It is the same name, but keen isn't really defined in this edition. It's from 3rd edition. Keen basically.
Well, I mean, is keen defined in your world?
Yeah, yeah. It needs to be. It needs to be. But keen increases the critical hit range by 1 of a weapon.
I mean,
right. Yeah.
I mean, that's up to you. I feel like it could, but then that makes crossbows even better. Like, what's the trade-off of a crossbow versus a longbow?
Yeah, we should just
is the loading property?
Yeah, yeah, that's true. We'll just get rid of that on crossbows real quick. Hold on. Sorry, crossbows. There's a feat for you guys. I mean, it's fine.
Yeah. You could, if you're a bow user, takes sharpshooter, and if you're a crossbow user, take sharpshooter and crossbow master if you want. Okay.
All right. There we go. So, scooching back up here. All right. None of these other ones got changed. Let's see.
Yeah, I think all these stayed the same.
Yeah, all these stayed the same. Prodigy stayed the same.
What if Keen Mind made it so that you crit recall knowledge checks on a 19? No.
Oh shit! I mean, Keen Mind's already pretty boofed. I don't know. Yeah. No, it would be cool to have it affect recall knowledge checks though. All right, and then homebrew information. All Valda's feats require DM permission, as you know, all Valda stuff should, because it's fun, but it definitely is not well crafted. Yeah. All right, so casting leveled spells. You can cast multiple leveled spells on a single turn if your action economy supports it. The end. So yes, you can now Misty Step on top of the wall and fireball everyone. There you go. I have to admit, it is fun as hell, and I want you to use up all your leveled spells as quickly as possible, so you have to use cantrips in the boss fight. So burn yourself out, Barnabas. Sorry. Anyways, anybody could do it. Some people blow their load faster than others. That's what I'm saying. Yep. All right, so we're gonna do that.
Maya's gonna love this. I can now heal and cast.
Exactly. So counterspell. All right. This is a touchy subject, but we're going to try to blaze through it. Counterspell. All creatures with an intelligence 10 or higher have a reaction available called counterspelling. Everybody has counterspelling. What does that mean? It is a reaction triggered when you see a creature within 60 feet of you begin casting a spell. You roll an Arcana, Nature, or Religion check using Intelligence or Wisdom to identify the spell being cast. The DC is 10 plus the level of the spell. If you are not trained in the appropriate skill, the DC is a 15. Starts at 15. The GM determines what skill is used based on the source of the caster's magic. This was something I liked about 1D&D, was saying that there are 3 schools of magic. Not 3 schools of magic, but 3 types of magic. And that was the foundation of magic in 4th edition D&D, which I love. And then it's also the basis of magic in Pathfinder 2, which I think is great. So, primal magic is something that comes from a nature, fey, elemental type creature, or a druid, or a ranger, or a barbarian, or a shaman, something like that. Divine, it comes from God. And then arcane, it's...
Or your oath.
Or your oath, or your conviction, or some shit like that. Demon or angel, right? That would be divine. Magic is kind of like everything that's not those first 2. That would be arcane. That would be everything that's not those first 2. A deafened creature cannot attempt counterspelling against spells that only have a verbal component, because you couldn't hear what spell was being cast. Why wasn't this fucking built into the Xanathar stuff? Whatever. A deafened creature has disadvantage to this check if the spell has a verbal component included. So if it's got semantic and material components, but still verbal components, if you can't hear, you don't know for sure what spell they're casting, you got disadvantage to the check. If you succeed on your counterspelling check, you learn the name and nature of the spell and the level that it is being cast at. If successful, you can then do one of the following. Cast Counterspell if you know it and have the resources to do so, treating the casting as one level higher than normal. This isn't as important because I'm switching to the D&D, like the D and Done playtest one where you get a saving throw against it or whatever. But it might be important because some people are just immune to spells of level 3 or less. And if you're able to kick that counterspell up to a level 4, that might help you. Give yourself or an ally within 60 feet who can hear you a bonus to their saving throw equal to your proficiency bonus against the spell. You could be like, hey man, that's going to be a fireball. You know what I'm saying? And now they get a bonus to the saving throw. Give yourself or an ally within 60 feet who can hear you a bonus to their AC. Hey, they're going to shoot you with a Melf's Acid Arrow, bro. And then they're like, oh shit, I'll hold up my shield. Now they have a bonus to their armor class. Cast Resistance Cantrip, if you know it, which is a new variation of the cantrip. Cast the Shield spell if you know it, and you have the resources to do so. So there you go. Yeah. Magic changes. These are big improvements to cantrips. Blade Ward is now alternate casting time. One reaction which you take when you or an ally takes bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing damage. Range 30 feet. One willing creature, VS, concentration up to 1 minute, bard, sorcerer, warlock, wizard, blah, 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 blah. Here's the meat. You give somebody damage reduction, not damage resistance, damage reduction. They get 1d4 damage reduction to piercing, bludgeoning, and slashing damage against the amount rolled, and then the spell ends. That's not great. That's not very good. But as a reaction, if you use that to reduce some damage coming in, that could save somebody's life at low level. Hell, that could save somebody's life at higher levels. It also scales with level. So the bonus increases by 1d4 at level 5, 11, and 17 for a total of 4d4 damage reduction. I did put a cooldown on this one. A creature affected by the spell cannot benefit from it again for 1 hour. I would say that Blade Ward is the weakest of all of these scaling D4 cantrips, but I felt like it needed to have the timer on it because the others have the timer on it. But I do admit that it's definitely the weakest one.
Yeah, I don't think
maybe a bigger dice size would be good for this one.
So the issue here is not that we're doing the cooldown for how powerful this cantrip is. Is to do this so that it doesn't slow down gameplay so much. Because if you can constantly do this every single single reaction, it's going to slow down. It's going to slow down gameplay.
And I wouldn't even balk at just having Blade Ward give resistance, period. But it's only once per fight because it's cooldown of an hour. Yeah. Like I don't mind you giving every person in the party, including yourself, with your reaction resistance to an attack. So I would actually probably take the scaling away and just straight up give them resistance. The difference here is a lot of people can get resistance now from different things, and this would be after that resistance, like the damage gets reduced even more.
Maybe 1 hour is too much. Maybe it could be a 10-minute, like the 10 minutes. The same thing as like Bless or something like that, like 10 minutes.
Yeah, that could work. All right.
So that's not there's no fight lasting longer than 10 minutes.
True. But then you could immediately go into another one with the new shortened long rest, shortened short rest. Yeah. All right, so I buffed Dancing Lights. Dancing Lights, I don't think it's even worth discussing, but I made it good. So if you're interested in Dancing Lights, you can check it out. Friends, I made Friends good. So if you're interested in using Friends, go check it out. It's good. I'm saying this because we're way over time, and I want to cover some other stuff.
Yeah.
Guidance, same deal. Guidance is a 10-minute cooldown, and it's a scaling bonus. It's a D4, and it goes up with you in level, and it can be cast as a reaction, and it's now available to bards. And it's got a 30-foot range. Why would you buff Guidance? Why not? Everyone fucking loves Guidance, and Guidance is setting the stage for all these other guys. I buffed Message, so Message is actually used. The rules as written now are actually the way people use Message. So now people can use Message the way that they've been using Message and be following the rules. So, resistance is guidance, scaling guidance, range, the whole deal, but it affects your saving throws. True Strike is the same as the guys we've also discussed with the scaling D4, but it affects an attack roll. And let me tell you, a 4d4 bonus to an attack roll is pretty fucking good at any level of play, but especially at level 17 and up. Hell, I'd take a plus 1d4 at low levels. That'd be fucking amazing. Yeah, so now True Strike's a good cantrip, y'all. And the first person that will ever have it is a little boy named Victor Valakovich. So excited for him to bust that out in the two games where he's still alive. All right. So, improved duration. The following spells have had their duration increased to until you complete a long rest, straight from Baldur's Gate 3. Animal Friendship, Armor of Agathis, until used. Comprehend Languages, Dark Vision, Death Ward, or until used. Detect Magic, Disguise Self, though changing the disguise will require fresh casting. Elemental Weapon.
Ooh.
Maybe we'll actually see someone cast it. I don't know. False Life, or until used. Long Strider, Mage Armor, Magic Weapon. Seeming, just like Disguise Self, changing it will require a new casting. Speak with Plants, Speak with Animals, Tongues, and Water Walk. All right. And then new as rituals, Find Traps, Jump, and Zone of Truth. Find Traps is a terrible fucking spell. And I don't think that making it a ritual is going to make it any more likely to be used or memorized, but there it is. There's a new spell at 9th level called Permanency. Ask me when you can cast it. Alright. Spell changes. Any spell that causes banishment, domination, paralysis, stun, unconscious, or incapacitated has a max duration of 2 rounds, unless it is cast with a 9th level spell. So anything that was missed on this update list would fall under that. It gets its duration nerfed to 2. I'm going to tell you, as an avid Cleric and Bard player who loves banishing things and Hypnotic Pattern, this needs to happen. I have spent my player career trivializing every encounter. I'm the worst player. From sleep at level 1 all the way up to banishment at the highest level. It is bullshit and it needs to stop. Alright. Alter Self no longer requires concentration. If you cast it with a 3rd level spell slot, you can grow functional wings. That sounds pretty good. Beast Bond lasts until you complete a long rest and doesn't require concentration.
I was really happy about this one because I've been wanting to use this on my Triceratops.
If you think that's good, Dom, wait till you hear this. Bonfire sheds light. Oh my god, it didn't do it before. Now it does. Incredible. Oh, we're changing the game, baby. We're changing the whole game. Color Spray uses set hit point totals. No more slot machine. You can tactically use the spell now. And if you think that blinding an AoE is not good, I'm going to tell you, it wasn't, but now it's 2 rounds, which is pretty good. Confusion. If you fail by 5 or more against Confusion, you get Madness instead. See the new stats effects for more. Madness is real bad. It's Confusion for Pathfinder 2. It's real bad. Counterspell. We're using the new 1D&D. There's a saving throw involved. I think that's a really good way to handle it. I think it's a good way to burn some legendary reactions and to burn through some Paragons and Paragon defenses. Oh, baby. I'm excited for this. Spellcasting enemies still get to be cool, but they also get fucked up in the process. I like it. Crown of Madness inflicts madness now. What a concept. Dispel Magic. One of my least favorite spells in the game. Counterspell can only affect spells of the level it is cast at or lower. Spellcasting ability will not allow you to change it. So, it shouldn't say Counterspell. It should say Dispel Magic. Can only be cast at spells at the level it's cast or lower. The end. Alright. Dispel Magic only removes 1 magical effect. Because as written, 1 Dispel Magic cast at 3rd level with 1 successful caster check will remove 17 buffs from a boss monster. Yeah, that's good design. That's fucking solid right there. I'm over here in Pathfinder sucking 8 dicks on the corner to get rid of 1 spell effect. these Dungeons & Dragons players are getting rid of 17 spell effects. Sorry. Pathfinder's just made me a meaner person, I think. I don't know. Anyways, effects with a permanent duration can't be dispelled, so stop asking. That's not how it works. You can't dispel a zombie. Fucking stop it. Alright, moving on. Dominate spells. These spells have a 2-round duration. Each level their upcast affects 1 additional target. Elemental weapon no longer requires concentration and lasts until you complete a long rest. So for the love of God, start casting this spell, people. Force Cage, get ready to have your mind blown, Dom, requires concentration. What? Did it not before? No, it didn't before. It didn't require concentration before. Jesus Christ. Anyways.
Oh no, Goodberry.
Goodberry does not give you nourishment. Grease. A single point of fire damage converts the area of the spell into a fire surface for 2 rounds. That's right, Grease can be set on fire, guys. Heat Metal. Definitely needed a nerf. A creature taking damage from the spell can make a con save to prevent the damage. Reminder, a dropped weapon can be picked back up. The creature just suffers the penalties for holding it. So if you make a bad guy drop their weapon with the spell, hell yeah, you better pick it up and burn yourself, or they're just going to pick it back up on their turn. These are bad guys. They're here to die. You know what I'm saying? They're going to pick back up their weapon and hit you with it if you don't pick it up. So just kind of keep that shit in mind. Hold spells, duration 2 rounds. It ends if the afflicted creature takes any damage. So they're good for crowd control and one free critical hit. 1 free critical hit. They're not going to be a fucking pinata anymore. Okay? That's over. That's over. Goddamn. Anyways, jump. Bonus action to cast, and if cast on the caster, you can benefit from the new jump bonus action as part of the casting of the spell. This is from 1D&D playtest. I think it's really good. It's a little video gamey, but it quantifies jump without us having to get out the fucking jump calculator and our abacus and all the other kind of stuff that, you know. Mordenkainen's Sword. Why would I bother? Good question. I was looking up the worst spells in D&D, and I saw Mordenkainen's Sword, and I was like, I've never heard of this spell in my life. And then I read it, and I was like, I understand why. It's a 7th level wizard version of Spiritual Weapon, and it's terrible. So I tried to make it good. Polymorph. The duration of the spell is 2 rounds. That's it. Not an hour. It's 2 rounds. You could be a T-Rex for 2 rounds. You could turn the boss into a turtle for 2 rounds. And then you can't keep running away from your fucking problems. If you're using this as bufferage for hit points, it still does exactly what you're using it to do. If they needed to be a goddamn brontosaurus to get the hit points from a brontosaurus, they're probably going to run out of brontosaurus hit points in 2 rounds. So it does what it needs to do still without being an encounter breaking ability. At higher levels, you can cast this when you cast a spell using a higher spell slot, you can increase the duration by 2 rounds per level above 4. So if you do want to do a longer duration, you can cost you more.
Okay. That's good.
Speaking of shield, invisible barrier of force appears and protects you until the start of your next turn. You have +2 bonus to AC, including against the triggering attack, blah, blah, blah. +2, that's terrible. No, it's not. It's better than parrying, which is all the marshals have, so fuck off. But since you're here and you're upset, Dom is here for you. It says, at higher levels, you can raise the AC by 1 for every level above level 1. And let me tell you, I watched Hypatia the Wizard get wrecked by level 20 plus monsters on the regular. Shield didn't do shit for shit. I guarantee you, if she could have cast a 7th level spell slot to get a better shield, she would have done it in a heartbeat. So this is actually a buff to shield, and I won't hear any complaints. Shut up! Alright, anyway, so Silvery Barbs is one of the most powerful spells in the game, hands down. So I put a 1 hour cooldown on it. And that's to benefit from it and to affect people. Because, like, it's just too fucking good. You would not have a good time. If I had a bad guy and they just spam this every reaction, you would walk out. You would walk out. So we're done with that. Sleep has set hit points. You don't roll for it anymore. You can be more tactical with it. However, it can no longer instantly KO or TPK a level 1 party because it only lasts for 2 rounds. And hopefully them goblins can't slit all your throats in 2 rounds or less. Spiritual Weapon is no longer a spell. It's an innate ability available only to clerics. What if I had it through my subclass? I guess you don't anymore. Okay, moving on. Suggestion. This spell cannot target hostile creatures. Makes sense to me. Makes sense to me. Yeah. I don't think it was supposed to. I don't think you're supposed to just shut down an entire fucking fight with a high-level casting of Mass Suggestion. That's terrible. Tiny Hut can be broken now. It's hard to break. It's got 30 hit points per spell level of the spell slot used to create Tiny Hut. You might turn around and say, but I thought Tiny Hut was a ritual. It is. Ritual casted at the highest spell slot you can. Moving on. Witch Bolt does not require concentration.
Oh man, it's actually a useful spell now.
Oh, it's even better. Creatures damaged by the spell have their speed reduced by 10 until the start of your next turn. So it's harder for them to get away from you. It's almost like that's what the spell should have had in the first place. Anyways, banned spells. Rope Trick. I don't ever want to deal with this fucking spell again. We're done. We're fucking done. We're done.
Oh, poor Orin.
We're done. Get that rope trick out of my face. All right, now on to equipment. Attunement slots. All creatures have a number of attunement slots equal to their proficiency bonus. Artificers can go fuck themselves. You don't get anything extra. You don't get anything special. Everyone's coming for your class identity. No one likes you. Get out of here. Attuning to an unattuned item takes an action. Unattuning to an attuned item takes 1 hour. So this still creates a situation where if you're maxed out on items and you got a cool item that you found in the middle of a fight and you want that item, how do we handle that? I still haven't figured that one out yet. I don't know. Maybe attuning to a new item puts you on a cooldown. I don't know. Maybe.
Yes, let me ask you this question. How would it be if you had this limit, but it always just took an action to attune to an item, and whenever you attune to an item, you lost attunement to one item you couldn't attune to, and that was it. There was no time to undo it. So like if I found a new weapon in the thing, and I spent my action, my whole turn pretty much to attune to it. Mm-hmm. And that was it. Like even if I was already maxed out, I had to choose one to get rid of at the time.
Well, the problem is a lot of attunables are complicated. So like they adjust your shit. You know what I'm saying? So like having people do that frequently mid battle is a pain in the ass. That's the main reason.
Okay.
Yeah, if it was a video game and everything was perfectly tracked with the video game, or we had like all the mods working all the time in Foundry, sure. But yeah, it's like a real hassle to do that. So. Making a check for heroic attunement might be pretty good. Alright, let's say it needs a bit more work. I want people to be able to pick up the dead boss's sword and immediately start using the dead boss's sword. That's the goal.
Yes, I'm saying, yeah, like, and I like
but we gotta have a way that it can't be abused. Because I tried doing fast attunement before in a game, and people had their Casey Jones golf bag of magic items, and they kept switching them back and forth, and then we had to keep keeping track of stuff that got switched and flipped, and it was just a real pain in the ass. All right, new equipment dropped. It's called helmets. If you've been wearing a helmet up until now, it didn't do anything. But now helmets can do things. There are 3 flavors of helmet. 1, +1 to all your constitution saves. Hot damn, every spellcaster put a helmet on your fucking head. There is +1 to intimidation and +1 to saves against fear effects. That's not bad. Fear's pretty terrible. Or, once per long rest, you could turn a critical hit against you into a regular hit. This is a nod to Baldur's Gate 1 and 2. Why wouldn't everyone wear a helmet? When you're wearing a helmet, you can't have another head slot item. When you're wearing a helmet, you have disadvantage to perception checks and passive perception. Feels like a good trade-off. One person in the party only needs to have perception. Everyone else could dump it, right? Anyways.
I got afford a -5 on my perception.
Right. So the biggest, meanest update was, in my opinion, ranged attacks no longer add ability modifiers to damage. That is all ranged attacks. Every ranged attack, it does not add ability modifiers to damage. All ranged attacks no longer add ability modifier to damage. I don't care if you got a 26 dexterity, You don't get to add it to your attack roll. To your damage. You get to roll to your attack roll, but you don't get to roll to your damage. So damage cannot be modified on ranged attacks with your ability score. The exception is abilities like the Warlock Invocation, Agonizing Blast. So
I guess if it's all range attacks, I do have like Maya's a Produce Flame adds their ability score to it.
If it specifically says as a class feature or in the spell description it does, then it works. Here's my argument. Firebolt doesn't add intelligence, but it scales with level. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
All of this shit has things around it. People are going to say, but Crash, that's not true. When I use my longbow, it's always a D8. You're a fucking liar. Because I know that magical ammunition exists and that you could use it. If you were shooting fireball arrows, that's a little bit better than adding a +5 from your dexterity. So, like, just get good ammunition as you level up, guys. You have resources and money. I use the loot tables. We have Ann Gregerson giving you fucking magic arrows off of every other monster you kill. Take the 5 fucking minutes to harvest the stuff, and you'll have good ammunition. You don't need your dexterity added to your attacks. And spellcasters, just play a warlock if you really want to blast stuff. The end. God damn it. Anyways, shields are buffed because, shields were already amazing, but why not buff them a little bit more? Shields are now considered light weapons for the purposes of dual wielding. A shield is an improvised weapon that deals 1d4 bludgeoning damage. Moving on. Alright, so then we got potions. Potions must be worn to access quickly. Worn potions can be more easily stolen, lost, or damaged. Is there a number of potions that can be worn at a time? No. You could wear an entire suit made of potions. I don't care. It just means that if something bad happens, it's more likely to get those potions killed. Elixirs now last all day. They last until your next long rest. Yeah, BG3. Alright. You can override a previous elixir. I had said that you could not, but when I thought about it, it makes sense. I would love for you to waste your elixirs. Please do. But it will completely remove the benefits of the previous elixir. So if you drink an elixir to get... Yeah.
It still counts as your potion use, too.
It still builds up that potion use. Potion toxicity is still a thing, and it needs to be enforced a little bit better. I haven't been enforcing it very well on the NPCs I control, and certainly there are players that maybe aren't paying attention, one might say. There are rules now for throwing potions, and these rules are stupid. But honestly, they're the best rules I could come up with that didn't make me just feel like we had turned the whole thing into a video game. Let me preface this by saying, if you have not done chemistry or worked in a laboratory, beakers are tempered glass. Tempered glass is hard to break. You could drop it on a marble table and it won't shatter. You could slam it into the table and they won't break. Tempered glass is very strong. What do you think potion bottles are made of that makes them cost so much money? Tempered glass. When you throw tempered glass at another human being, you will fucking kill them. If I am ever in trouble, do not throw a potion bottle at me. You will fucking kill me. I'm a commoner. I have maybe 6 hit points. Please don't throw it at me. So, with all that said, throwing potions is really fun and cool. So we want it to work. What about Alchemist Fire? They break when you throw them. They're not in tempered glass. They're supposed to break when you throw them. They're 2 different things, guys. If your potion bottles were in break-easy bottles, they would break. That's why we don't throw potions. But throwing potions is fun, so I tried to come up with something for throwing potions. Here's what I got. I will not bend on this. This is the most I'm willing to offer. Throwing a potion is an improvised thrown weapon attack. It is treated like a rock. I looked this up. Rocks deal 1d4 bludgeoning damage. An improvised thrown weapon has a normal range of 20 feet and a long range of 60 feet. A potion is not intended to be used as a thrown consumable. If it does not mention being thrown in its description, throwing it does not have any more benefit than throwing a rock at someone. Unless you can, as an action, Make an improvised thrown weapon attack with a potion, elixir, salve, or oil using a strength sleight of hand. Have you ever seen that in your life, Dom? Strength sleight of hand. There it is in all of its glory. This is for you, Anne. This is for you. So you use this in place of your attack roll. If you hit the target, and I mean hit them, like you gotta hit them with this, the thrown potion burst open, harmlessly delivering its contents to the target. If the check misses the target, the potion lands on the ground nearby, breaks open, and is wasted. There are no healing puddles. That's stupid. So video gamey. The ground would absorb the potion. Potions are meant to be drank, not absorbed through your fucking boots, okay? Like, this is such a dumb system. I can't believe I'm even willing to try it out, but it is really fun, so we're gonna try it out. If the check misses the target by 5 or less, you actually hit them with the tempered glass bottle, and you do 1d4 plus your strength modifier damage to them. So there you go. That's the potion throwing rules. Take them or leave them. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm fine with them.
Okay.
As a the fact that we're allowing to throw potions in the first place, and because of fun, I'm okay with these being the rules.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. So when I explained how chemistry equipment works, it makes more sense, right? Yeah.
Well, I would say for that, somebody could argue okay. Yeah, Alchemist Fire isn't breakaway glass, then why doesn't it break all the time in our inventory?
Hey,
and I would say, okay, if you want.
Yeah, sure. Keep talking.
Yeah,
keep talking. That sounds great. Yeah, okay, sure. We'll have them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, every time you get hit with a bludgeoning attack, all your Alchemist Fire bursts. That sounds fun. Anyways, I changed the Jacob hates dying rules. I felt that they were too undefined, and they were also too generous. Sorry, Jacob. So, let's see. Does this still combine with the prone giving disadvantage to ranged attacks? So melee attacks would have advantage, but ranged attacks would be a normal hit. Yes, Nathan. That is exactly what that means. Jacob hates dying. Do you hate dying? Who doesn't? Before you roll your death saving throw for the round, before you roll, you may choose not to roll. This is before you roll. Instead, pretend you got a nat 20 on the roll, get 1 HP, stabilize, and take your turn. If you do this, you get 1d4 plus 1 stacks of exhaustion. There's no more hit dice. If you really want to not rely on your teammates and you want to stand up and have your fucking turn, pay the goddamn price. If you are immune to exhaustion, you cannot benefit from this system. Sorry about that, skeletons. Alright, moving on. Save or suck effects. The following save or suck effects: maddened, confused, paralyzed, incapacitated, unconscious, stunned, petrified, banished. If you begin your turn with one or more of the status effects listed above, you can remove one or more of those effects from yourself. If you do this, you gain 1d3 plus 1 stacks of exhaustion per condition removed. You push super hard plus ultra to break yourself free. If you're immune to exhaustion, you can't benefit from the system. Period. The end. I really want the choice to get out of these to be hard. I want people to be pushing themselves hard if they really don't want to rely on their allies to get rid of this. If you're in a magic accessible game, there are spells to help you get rid of this stuff. And people need to start playing their fucking roles, okay? If you're a class that has restoration and greater restoration, you need to stop trying to be the main character and start being a support for your team. That's why status effects like this exist, to be countered by spells. If you're in a not magic game, you need to start looking at getting support items that can counteract these effects. They do exist, and they can be crafted. So, just keep that in mind. I know it ain't nice, but it's better than missing your turn. If you really don't want to miss your turn, if you really can't afford to, here you go. Combine this with the fact that an ally can just pick you up now from dying. I think this is pretty generous. So, it's a lot of exhaustion. It's a lot of exhaustion. That's a tough choice, but I don't know. I think it's important. All right, maybe it's too much. Maybe it should only be 1 exhaustion apiece, but I feel like that's almost too little. I feel like it's almost too little. This also gets rid of petrified. Breaking yourself out of petrified? Come on now. That's pretty fucking tough. All right, Death Lingers. We already have this. I don't think it needs to be a secret anymore. A reminder, I felt it was too punishing, so if you get your health back to full, even if you haven't long rested, that will clear all of your lingering death saves. So.
I see your comment here about making it a convenient effect. We could just make it a resource on the sheet.
Oh, fair. Yep. All right, there has been a buff to Heroic Rest. You can now access your first Heroic Rest at level 1 and your second Heroic Rest at level 11. Heroic Rest means that your short rest only takes 10 minutes, not 1 hour. I feel like it's important sometimes to get into short rest and you don't have an hour, certainly not in a game where you got to roll random encounters. So I think this is going to be very huge and very important for some groups. So there we go. So then if we keep going, we see that there was a clarification to short rest camping. There was, let's see, downtime. Lifestyle benefits have been removed from downtime. It was just another system to track, and it was really tiresome to do so, so we just got rid of it.
It really only works if you're doing the
and honestly, there's enough stuff in the game, aid and Heroes Feast and things like that. Like it, just do that stuff if you really need that shit. You know what I mean? Rich people already get enough benefits. We don't need to be giving them extra hit points.
Oh man, you know what? We should have took advantage of this in CRASHDOM when we
absolutely
really nice
yeah, we play that real nice place, if you know what I mean. So lore skills, you have specialized information on a very narrow topic. Lore features many subcategories. You might have military lore, sailing lore, vampire lore, or any other subcategory of this skill. Each subcategory counts as its own skill. Lore skills are specialized but flexible. When they are okayed for use by the GM, they often reduce the DC of the relevant check or skill check. Use creativity when selecting lore skills to better define your character, their history, and their interest. Jack of all trade applies to all lore skills. However, the reduction to DCs through Jack of all trades, I'll move in a second, is only -2 max. This is straight out of Pathfinder. I looked up how does Bard lore interacts, and that is what they said. All right, cool. So basically,
you took title.
Oh, I did. Oh man, damn. Oh, I took the title too. I'm so tired. Okay, hold on.
Okay, it's okay.
And there we go. So basically, if your background is pirate, you could take pirate. Lore pirate. Yeah, pirate. You're just good at everything related to being a pirate. How much more of a background could you possibly have than being a literal expert on being a pirate? This is very cool. Anyways, there's also a major change to the skill system. A huge change. There are no more tools. There are no more musical instruments. That shit's dumb. It's dumb. So, animal handling is gone. It's now just a part of nature. Crafting is a new skill that uses intelligence and tools to do things. Crafting. It's also a lore skill for, like, things that are made. Investigation is now a part of perception. But perception, you could use int or wisdom. Your choice. Are you good at noticing things? Or are you good at noticing things? Because honestly, you could argue they're the same. You really can. Magical skills, Arcana, Nature, and Religion. The 5th Age of Magic has 3 domains of magic, Arcana, Divine, and Primal. These skills can be used for magical skills and challenges related to those spell domains. You can use Int or Wisdom as the base stat for these skills, interchangeably. Performance. There are no more musical instruments. If you are good at performance, you're also good at playing instruments. If you're a real-life musician and your feelings are hurt by this, I'm very sorry. But fighters know how to use all weapons, and let me tell you, that's not generally how that works. So the same applies for instruments. Just get over it. Sleight of hand is now used for thieves' tools, as it always should have been. The end. All right. So, moving on. If at any point this would cause one of the skills that you're given by a class to not exist anymore, like your class tells you that you get to handle animal skills, guess what? You get a lore skill of your choice. The end. And then we talked about
I
lore.
guess the question. I guess the
Oh,
question for this is how retroactive is this stuff to your current game?
I would like, if possible, all games to start using this stuff. I think this stuff is very good. I think that it would be very useful to everybody to switch to this.
Okay.
Yeah. Um. All right. So then we already talked about medicine. Nature has now the ability to do beast stuff. Knowledge skills got reduced. Party checks. Let's see. Status effects. So bleed has been better defined. Burning is a new status effect. Days has been changed to the 1D&D days. I think that the 1D&D days is actually pretty good. You can move or take one action on your turn, not both, and you can't take bonus actions or reactions. So I think that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Exhaustion now uses the 10 stack system. Frightened is using the Pathfinder system. I actually really like it. I don't like people not being able to move around on their turn. Kind of lame. Inspiration. Oh yeah.
For Frighten, I guess I have to read through this, but
Yeah.
did we come up with a way of dealing with the amount of fear that someone gets depending on the thing?
Yeah, I thought it was based on the proficiency bonus of the creature.
So we did that, but then like your proficiency bonus grows up so fast. Like at level 5, you're getting 3 fear.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
I remember mentioning before that maybe it should be like half. So
all right. So I'm gonna put
round it down.
I'm gonna put a needs more work on it for now.
Yeah.
Because we're already way over time. Like
yeah.
Speaking of, I gotta finish this up. So inspiration, you now re-roll after the roll is made. That's how everybody really wants it. That's how Baldur's Gate does it. There you go. You can have up to 3 inspiration. Inspiration drops to 0 when you long rest. That's been in the document, but was not being enforced. Lingering effects is still a thing. Marked was updated. Restrained. So when you are restrained and you try to cast spells, you do need to make concentration checks if the spells require the S components. This is why sorcerers take still spell for moments like this that never existed but need to exist. So keep that in mind. The wet status has been added to show that you are more vulnerable to lightning and cold effects, but less vulnerable to fire effects. I think that's pretty smart.
I do have a question about that restrain thing. If they do try and cast a spell and do the check, do they still lose the action?
They lose the action, but not the slot.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So then we've got changes to combat. I don't think there's anything new. Changes to races. So if you are a race that can fly, you have to land after you fly, or you will fall at the end of your turn. So I don't think that that's unfair at all, because I think that flying races are game-breaking for some DMs and some campaigns, and I don't think that we need to support that. And then for equity's sake, any humanoid NPCs under CR10 are affected by this rule. So enemy flyers like harpies, they will have to fly from one rocky outcropping to another. They will not be able to just stay airborne the whole time. I think that this is good, but I don't know. If you really care about flying, I added a racial feat called Skilled Flyer at level 12. If you have a natural fly speed, you can sustain your flight indefinitely. You no longer need to land on solid ground or risk falling. Your flight speed increases by 10, and you can increase your strength, dexterity, or constitution by 1, no higher than 20. So, I think that's good. I don't really want... I mean, you could send them, like, Wandering Links, but I don't really want more rules. Like, I don't want to have to pull out a fucking document about, like, doing barrel rolls and, like, shit like that. Like, I don't mind flyers just being able to fly. I don't like in Pathfinder 2 that they have a flight system. I think it's stupid. You either fly or you don't fly. I don't want to play a flying minigame. I don't want to pretend I'm flying an airplane. I just want to fucking move from point A to point B. So, if the system's any more complicated than that, I probably don't have time for it. But I also think that sustained flight on a first level character is broken. So, there it is. Centaurs. You can now be cat centaurs and spider centaurs. I don't think anyone ever will, but they're there, in case you want to do it. I buffed GIF because they're the best race in the entire multiverse and they deserve all the things. Kobolds are no longer allowed to be legacy kobolds. If you want pack tactics, it's now a feat you can get at level 4. If you want to be a flying kobold, it's a feat you can get at level 8. There you go. Lizard folk do use legacy version because cannibal craftsmen are important to every setting, and it's a shame that they got taken away from us. Alright, down here in class changes, there were huge changes to the monk that are already being playtested by Remy. If I had to say anything, I would say that it's really fucking good. I don't know. Like, maybe too good, but not too... I don't know. With the limited short rest, I guess it ain't that bad. But you can see there's just a grocery list of changes to the monk. Down here, there were no new changes for anything except Rogue Thief now has 2 bonus actions. Since everyone gets fast hands in our games, now rogues get 2 bonus actions instead of the feat that they used to get. I felt like 2 bonus actions is way cooler than just having an extra feat. And we'll also add a buff to Mastermind. Sorcerers got some buffs. They got the new Sorceress Burst, which is a pretty exciting slot machine spell from 1D&D. It has exploding dice, which I always think is pretty spicy, and limiters on those exploding dice. And they also get half their max sorcery points back rounded down on a short rest. I think that should give them a bit more flexibility. All right, and then Warlocks got some buffs, but only real Warlocks, not Warlocks who just showed up for the first 2 or 3 levels. Real Warlocks got buffs. So at level 10, just like a cleric can call upon God, a Warlock can call upon their patron to intervene on their behalf. That should be fun. Warlocks get free Eldritch Blast. All Warlocks gain the Eldritch Blast cantrip. It doesn't count against their cantrips known because this is their class identity. And you shouldn't have to choose your class identity. Free Agonizing Blast. At level 7, all Warlocks get Agonizing Blast for free, and it doesn't count against the total number of invocation known. And if they took it, they could retrain it into something else. At 9th level...
so they can still take it, though.
Yeah. They can take it early. Yeah, they can take it early. Let's see. Cantrip Thief. At level 9, Warlock can learn 1 cantrip from any class's spell list. At level 16, they can do that again. Cantrip Mastery. At 12th level, the Warlock can designate any 1 cantrip to also benefit from Agonizing Blast. And at level 18, they can choose another cantrip to benefit from Agonizing Blast. Because that's their thing. They're blasters. They blast you. So now they could do it with a bit...
And now they get that new spell sniper...
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Alright, so wizards, to get 1 buff, they can swap out their spells on a short rest, but only a number of prepared spells equal to their proficiency bonus.
That's great.
Yep. The wizard should be the ultimate utility caster, and I feel like that represents that pretty well. No changes to crafting, and then cleric, we discussed, had spiritual weapon as a class ability instead of a spell. And that's it. Those are the changes. Yep. I gotta go, because it was date night, and I went like an hour over time. So I'm in like a lot of trouble right now. All right. So I'll talk to you guys later. Hope everybody, if you have thoughts, commenting is enabled on the document. Go nuts. And I'll see you guys next time. Night, Dom.
Alrighty, take care.
All right.